Rejection. It stings, doesn't it? Whether it's a failed job interview, a lost opportunity, or someone walking away from your life, it feels personal. Like a door slamming in your face. But what if I told you that rejection is not the end? In fact, it might be the best thing that ever happened to you. The Stoics believe that setbacks are not obstacles, but stepping stones. That every no is simply guiding you towards the right yes. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, rejection isn't blocking your path, it is your path. In today's video, we'll explore 10 powerful Stoic lessons that will help you turn rejection into opportunity. So, are you ready to transform setbacks into strength? Let's begin. Lesson number 1. Reframe rejection as redirection. Have you ever been rejected from a job, or relationship, or an opportunity you desperately wanted? It feels like a dead end, a sign that you're not good enough. But what if rejection wasn't blocking your way, but rather pointing you towards something better? The Stoics believe that everything happens for a reason, not because of fate or luck, but because every event carries a lesson. When one door closes, it forces you to find another. And often, that new path is the one you were meant to walk all along. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Meaning, whatever life throws at you, even rejection, you can use it as fuel to grow stronger. Instead of seeing rejection as a failure, see it as redirection. Let's take a real-life example. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, was once fired from the very company he built. At that moment, he could have given up. Instead, he used that setback to explore new opportunities, founding Pixar and Next, both of which led to even greater success. Years later, he returned to Apple and made it more powerful than ever. That rejection didn't ruin him, it redirected him towards something greater. So, how can you apply this lesson in your own life? The next time you face rejection, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What door is opening because this one is closed? Rejection is painful, but it's not the end. It's a sign that you are meant for something else, something better. If you embrace this mindset, you'll never fear rejection again. Instead, you'll see it as life guiding you toward your true path. Lesson number 2. Control what you can, let go of the rest. One of the biggest reasons rejection hurts so much is because we feel powerless. We obsess over what went wrong, replaying the situation in our minds, wondering if we could have done something differently. But here's the truth, you don't control rejection. You only control how you respond to it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught the dichotomy of control, the idea that life is divided into two categories, things you can control and things you cannot. Your thoughts, actions, and efforts? Those are within your control. Other people's decisions, opinions, or reactions? Those are not. Imagine you apply for your dream job and get rejected. You can't control the company's decision, but you can control how you respond. You can dwell on disappointment, or you can take the rejection as a sign to improve your skills and apply elsewhere. One leads to frustration, the other leads to growth. The choice is yours. Marcus Aurelius reinforced this idea when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In other words, peace comes from focusing only on what's within your power. Let's take an example. In sports, an athlete can train relentlessly, but they can't control whether they win or lose. They can only control their preparation and performance. That's why the best athletes don't fixate on results, they focus on giving their best effort and accepting whatever happens next. So how can you apply this lesson to your own life? Next time you face rejection, ask yourself, what part of this situation is in my control? What should I let go of because it's beyond my power? By shifting your focus, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and disappointment. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the master of your mindset. The moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you gain true power. Lesson number 3. Detach emotionally from outcomes. Rejection hurts because we get emotionally attached to outcomes. We invest time, effort, and hope into something, and when it doesn't go as planned, we feel crushed. But the Stoics teach us a powerful truth: your happiness should never depend on external outcomes. Seneca once said, "He who is controlled by his emotions is his own worst enemy." If you allow your emotions to be dictated by success or failure, you will always be at the mercy of things you cannot control. Instead, the key is to focus on your actions, not the results. Imagine an artist painting a masterpiece. They pour their soul into their work, but once it's finished and displayed, they have no control over how people will react. Some might love it, others might criticize it. If the artist ties their self-worth to people's opinions, they will suffer. But if they detach from the outcome and focus on the joy of creating, they remain free. The same applies to you. Did you get rejected from a job? A relationship? A project? Instead of dwelling on the outcome, ask yourself, did I do my best? Did I act with integrity? If the answer is yes, then you have already succeeded. The rest is out of your hands. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly: do not let your happiness depend on things you do not control. True power comes when you no longer need external validation to feel fulfilled. So, how can you practice emotional detachment? 1. Define success by your effort, not the result. If you focus on the process, rejection won't shake you. 2. Practice mindfulness. When emotions rise, take a step back and observe them instead of reacting. 3. Remind yourself, external events do not define you. Only your character and actions matter. When you detach from outcomes, rejection loses its power over you. You stop fearing failure and start embracing every experience as part of your journey. Lesson number 4. Turn pain into power. Rejection, failure, disappointment, they all hurt. But pain is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. The Stoics believe that suffering is not what weakens us, our response to suffering is what defines us. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In other words, pain itself doesn't break you, your thoughts about it do. But if you shift your perspective, you can transform pain into power. Think of a piece of iron. When thrown into fire, it can either melt and lose its shape, or it can be forged into something stronger. The same applies to you. Every hardship, every rejection, is a chance to grow. Let's look at a real-life example. J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, was rejected by 12 publishers before one finally accepted her manuscript. She could have given up. Instead, she used rejection as motivation, improving her work until she created one of the most successful book series in history. So, how can you turn pain into power? 1. Reframe the pain. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" 2. Use pain as fuel. Let rejection push you to work harder, get better, and prove to yourself what you are capable of. 3. Embrace discomfort. The more you expose yourself to challenges, the stronger you become. Seneca taught, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, just as labor does the body." Meaning, without struggle, there is no growth. Pain is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of transformation. If you embrace it, learn from it, and use it as fuel, there is nothing in this world that can break you. Lesson number 5. See every no as a learning experience. Rejection feels personal. It stings. But what if, instead of seeing every no as a failure, you saw it as a lesson? The Stoics believe that life is a classroom, and rejection is one of the greatest teachers. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A rejection itself is neutral, it's neither good nor bad. It's how you interpret it that makes the difference. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall dozens of times, but they don't see failure, they see progress. If they gave up after falling, they would never learn to walk. But because they persist, they grow stronger. The same applies to you. Every no is just a step toward your yes. Let's take a real-life example. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players in history, was cut from his high school basketball team. He could have let that no define him. Instead, he used it as fuel to train harder. That rejection became the lesson that shaped his legendary career. So how can you apply this lesson? 1. Shift your mindset. Instead of thinking, "I failed," ask, "What can I learn from this?" 2. Seek feedback. If you were rejected from a job or opportunity, ask why. Use that knowledge to improve. 3. Keep going. Every successful person has heard no more times than they can count. The difference? They didn't stop. Seneca reminds us, difficulties strengthen the mind, just as labor strengthens the body. Every rejection is a chance to sharpen your skills, refine your approach, and grow into a stronger version of yourself. When you see every no as a learning experience, rejection loses its power. You stop fearing it, and instead, you start using it. Lesson number 6. Build resilience through voluntary hardship. Life is unpredictable. Rejection, failure, and setbacks will come when you least expect them. The question is, will you break or will you rise? The Stoics believe that resilience is not something you are born with, it is something you train. Seneca once said, "It is in times of security that the spirit should be preparing itself for difficult times." In other words, if you want to be strong when life tests you, you must practice discomfort when things are easy. This is called voluntary hardship, intentionally putting yourself in challenging situations so that when real difficulties arise, you are already prepared. Think about a soldier. They don't wait for war to start training. They prepare every day so that when the battle comes, they are ready. You must do the same. Here are some ways to build resilience through voluntary hardship. 1. Practice going without. Skip a meal, take cold showers, or spend a day without your phone. This teaches you that comfort is a luxury, not a necessity. 2. Push yourself physically. Exercise, endure discomfort, and challenge your body. A strong body supports a strong mind. 3. Face small rejections on purpose. Apply for opportunities beyond your comfort zone, ask for things you might not get. This makes you immune to fear. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the more we value comfort, the more fragile we become. If you train yourself to endure hardship, rejection will no longer shake you. You will stand strong, no matter what life throws your way. The goal is not to seek suffering, but to train yourself to handle it when it comes. Because when you know you can endure discomfort, you become unstoppable. Lesson number 7. Strengthen your inner fortress. Life is full of challenges, rejection, criticism, setbacks. But the strongest people are not those who never face hardship, they are the ones who have built an inner fortress so strong that nothing can break them. The Stoics believed that true strength does not come from external circumstances, but from within. You cannot control the world, but you can control your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This means that no matter what happens around you, you always have control over your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Imagine a storm raging outside, but inside your home, everything is calm and warm. That is what your mind should be, a fortress that remains unshaken, no matter how chaotic the world gets. So, how do you strengthen your inner fortress? 1. Practice self-discipline. Control your emotions instead of letting them control you. When rejection comes, take a deep breath, step back, and respond with wisdom, not impulse. 2. Stop seeking external validation. The more you depend on others' approval, the weaker your inner fortress becomes. True confidence comes from self-acceptance. 3. Train your mind daily. Meditate, read Stoic philosophy, and reflect on your thoughts. Mental strength, like physical strength, is built through daily practice. Seneca taught, "He who is brave is free." When you strengthen your mind, you free yourself from fear, insecurity, and emotional chaos. Rejection, failure, and negativity will always exist. But if your inner world is strong, they will never break you. Your mind is your fortress, build it, protect it, and nothing will shake you. Lesson number 8. Use silence as strength. In a world that values noise, constant talking, and instant reactions, silence is often overlooked. But the Stoics understood something powerful: silence is not weakness, it is strength. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." True wisdom comes not from speaking more, but from knowing when to stay silent. Think about it. How many times have you reacted emotionally to rejection or criticism, only to regret your words later? When you speak in anger, desperation, or frustration, you give away your power. But when you remain calm and silent, you stay in control. Silence is especially powerful in 3 situations. 1. When facing rejection. Instead of arguing or begging for another chance, accept the rejection with grace. This shows confidence and maturity. 2. When dealing with disrespect. If someone insults or belittles you, responding with silence is often the best answer. It shows that their words do not affect you. 3. When emotions are high. Before reacting in anger or frustration, take a moment of silence. This allows you to respond with wisdom, not impulse. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You always have the option of having no opinion." Not everything requires a response. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful reply. So, how can you practice using silence as strength? Pause before speaking. Give yourself time to think before responding. Observe more, talk less. The less you say, the more people listen when you do speak. Use silence to command respect. A person who is calm and measured is far more powerful than one who speaks impulsively. Silence is not about weakness or fear, it is about control, wisdom, and inner strength. When you master the art of silence, rejection and criticism will no longer shake you. Lesson number 9. Accept impermanence. Nothing in life is permanent, neither success nor failure, neither happiness nor pain. The Stoics understood this deeply and taught that true peace comes from accepting that everything changes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Soon you will have forgotten all things, and soon all things will have forgotten you." This may sound harsh, but it is actually freeing. It reminds us that rejection, setbacks, and disappointments are temporary. What seems unbearable today will be nothing more than a memory tomorrow. Think about a river. The water is always flowing, it never stays in one place. Life is the same. If you try to hold on to things that are meant to pass, you will suffer. But if you accept that everything changes, you will remain calm no matter what happens. Let's look at a real-life example. Many people experience heartbreak after a failed relationship. They believe they will never love again, that the pain will never fade. But over time, they heal, grow, and move on. What once felt permanent becomes just another chapter in their story. So, how can you practice accepting impermanence? 1. Stop resisting change. The more you cling to what is temporary, the more you suffer. Let things flow naturally. 2. Remind yourself that pain is temporary. No matter how bad things feel now, they will pass, just like everything else in life. 3. Find stability within. When you stop relying on external things to make you happy, you become unshakable. Seneca wisely said, "No man steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man." You are constantly growing, evolving, and changing. When you accept impermanence, you free yourself from fear and disappointment. Nothing lasts forever, including rejection. Embrace change, and you will always find peace. Lesson number 10. Let your actions speak for you. When faced with rejection, many people try to argue, explain, or prove their worth with words. But the Stoics believe that true strength is not shown through words, but through actions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, don't tell people what you are capable of, show them. Imagine someone gets rejected from a job. They could complain, make excuses, or try to convince the employer they made a mistake. But a Stoic approach would be to use that rejection as motivation, to improve, to gain new skills, and to become so good that they cannot be ignored in the future. Here's a real-life example. Elon Musk was rejected by Netscape when he applied for a job. Instead of feeling defeated, he built his own companies, PayPal, Tesla, and SpaceX, proving his worth through action, not words. Today, the world knows his name, not because he argued for his abilities, but because he demonstrated them. So, how can you apply this in your own life? 1. Respond to rejection with action, not words. Don't waste energy trying to prove people wrong, let your results do it for you. 2. Improve yourself daily. If you didn't get the opportunity you wanted, use that as a sign to grow, learn, and get better. 3. Stay disciplined. The world respects those who are consistent in their efforts. Keep showing up, and success will come naturally. Seneca reminds us, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. If you stay focused on improving yourself instead of proving yourself, opportunities will eventually come to you. Rejection is not the end, it is simply a challenge. And the best way to respond is not to talk about what you deserve, but to become someone so valuable that no one can ignore you. Conclusion. Rejection is not the end. It is a test, a challenge to see how strong, how resilient, and how determined you truly are. The Stoics teach us that what happens to us is not as important as how we respond to it. You now have 10 powerful lessons to turn rejection into opportunity. The question is, which one will you apply first? Remember, growth comes from action. So take these lessons, apply them, and let your actions shape your future. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Stay strong, stay stoic.